Hey everybody, how y'all doing? And welcome to the Guy's House, where we try to keep things cool, calm, collected, and mostly chill. Now, if you guys caught the Penguin Sheriff announcement from yesterday, you know that I was talking about keeping friendly competition friendly, which, well, a day later still believe that's very important, because, well, today I kind of want to expound a little bit more on it, because between the, as I said, there's a friendly aspect, and then there's the friendly competitive aspect, and then kind of on a gradient scale, you get competitive to combattative, right? Now, most of us who have spent much time on the parasocial network of Twitter, YouTube, and what other social media platforms you like to carry on at, you know that there's a lot of the combattative side of things, right? I mean, when you go on Twitter, you don't expect that when you post something that everybody's just gonna like it and say, oh, that's awesome. You kind of expect trolls and people who have no idea who you are, but if you use the right buzz line or tagline, they're gonna come out of the woodwork and have to say something to you, about you, against you, right? Critique everything you do. I mean, the same with having a YouTube channel, right? If you talk about certain subjects or use certain subjects or in your taglines, and people show up out of the woodworks and they have something to say, it's not always nice, but they do it. And and I've noticed, I'll say this, that I appreciate each and every one of you guys who comes out and watches my videos, and I've got some comments about, hey, the volume levels were off, or hey, maybe if this was a little bit more concise, it might have landed better, and I do try to take, some of that into processing, right? I mean, if it's not too negative, or basically it doesn't seem combative, I appreciate the honest response. Honestly, I do. I may not always agree, and I may not always do what somebody else thinks I should do, because I do what I want, but I also want to be able to connect with the audience and, help the conversation and the momentum keep flowing in a good, positive way. So yeah, I like to listen and pay attention. So anyway, like I said, we've got the competitive environments, which we all know about pretty well, and now that we're going through an election season, better get on your right gear, because, who knows what's about to happen. Of course, if you like video games, everything's in disarray, because, they keep putting out video games that they've spent decades on, or years, or a decade on. I mean, collectively decades. And studios are failing and all that. So that's a big mess. So it's really, really hard to say anything on the internet, right? But, okay, so we've got that out of the way. But then there's the people that you know from chat, or the people that you know in real life, right? Because I don't want to discount that we're all just people sitting in our basements and have no social life whatsoever. I'm sure some of you do. So then it comes time to the competitive to friendly side of things, right? Because, on the other side of the spectrum, where I am, and gradient, I'll use gradient because I feel like the word spectrum usually implies one thing, which I don't want to get into that either. So on this gradient scale, I try to be, friendly neighborhood puppet penguin. I mean, it's in my, my name, or my, how I present myself, because I want to be friendly and I want to be pondering. And I believe these kind of conversations, these ponderings, have to come from a more of a still friendly place, because when you have less tension and you have less, combative nature, then all of a sudden you have a lot of more room to just be still and think about things, which I understand can be unsettling for some people, but there's a lot of value in just being still and thinking and pondering for sure, right? And so, I like to move from the friendliness, the friendliness to the competitive side, right? The challenging competitive nature, right? So, say, I have a thought and I talk about it with a friend. Well, they think about it and they have, a friendly challenge or something to, want me to clarify or expound on, okay? So then we get to go chase down rabbit trails, and sometimes there's a back and forth discourse of what does that mean or why do you think that, and then you get into the friendly competition stage where we're trying to, develop an idea, refine an idea, and learn a little bit about each other, because there's a whole thing about you can't really know each other without clashing a little bit, which I would tend to agree with, right? I think that's fair. But there's a way to do it in a friendly, competitive way without being combative, right? But then there's those times when you are working with somebody and you're in that friendly competition, iron sharpens iron, trying to spurn each other forward, and sometimes you hit a nerve, right? Uh-oh, hold up, wait a minute, what just happened, right? Sometimes we don't have that initial response, and then we get into the reactive nature. The friendly competitive nature turns more to a just actual competitive nature, and if you don't catch it soon enough, it can push and then stir up the drama, and like I was talking about last week about proper ventilation, and all of a sudden you're into the drama, the combative nature, about choosing sides when really was probably an honest misunderstanding or just a hitting a nerve, not intentionally, hopefully. I mean, there's definitely the people that, let's face it, not everybody starts out on this side. Some people start out more in the competitive to combative range anyway, right? So, I guess that's the other course of things, is learning where you stand and trying to figure out if you're more of a friendly to competitive or combative nature. I mean, what mood you're in that day, what's going on. And then try to understand the environment that you're going into. Are you combative going into a friendly environment and, need to figure out how to adjust so that you don't turn something that could be a good conversation into who knows what, right? I mean, that's definitely a consideration to make. But there's also times where you're kind of in a friendly competitive state because that's just your nature, but you're walking into an area, maybe an online chat or somewhere you want to be, but it's going to be a lot more ornery, combative, competitive, and people aren't necessarily going to want to sit and listen to what you have to say. So you kind of have to, be cognizant and kind of guard yourself from that so that your expectations going into something don't cause, more unnecessary frustration or, misunderstandings that, kind of make sense from the environment you're in. So, yeah. I guess, that's mostly what I have to say. I think it really is a challenge of finding the balance between friendly, competitive, and combative, depending on what kind of day you're having and what environments you're in. But it's definitely worth keeping track of and trying to be aware of the people that are around, because, the worst thing to do would be being combative and not catching it to somebody that's more of a friendly competition side of things. And, if I've learned anything the older I get, is that good friends only come around so often. And if we mess up enough times, we might not even have those. So hopefully you have friends that you have worked through enough things over time that can forgive and have grace through the ups and downs, right? And if you're trying to make a new friend, just remember that how you show up and how you're consistent, well, that affects how it goes too. So that's all I really have for today. And if you guys have any thoughts or comments, drop them down below. And just like and share if you want to. And like I said, I'll do my best to read what you got to say. We'll see you next time. Bye!